Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of our Talent Intelligence podcast. Joining me today is the President of Stratasys, Andreas Langfeld. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm Nicky Patterson, the Head of Global Growth here at Solutions Driven. Solutions Driven obviously are an international talent provider. We fill roles across the STEM industries and work on typically mid to senior appointments. I don't think I need to introduce Stratasys, one of the global leaders in 3D printing, additive manufacturing. Formnext was last week, which is a very, very important time of year for the industry, and I'm sure Stratasys. And Andy, would you like to maybe start off by saying what your overall thoughts were on the week last week?
So there is a couple of thoughts. First of all, we saw it throughout this year so far that there is a speeding out of the pandemic when it comes to business. So we see a very strong business recovery. And that was basically reaching its highlight of the year with the Formnext exhibition last week, where we had our team present, not size-wise, not the same amount of people as usually, but still a decent amount of Stratasys employees motivated to win customers. And we did actually see a good amount of traffic. So I was surprised, when you have low expectations, they can only be overachieved, but they have been overachieved by a very good mix of visitors, but high quality meetings, a couple of deals closed at the booth. That's what we celebrate the most, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it is obvious that on the one hand, people are seeking the face-to-face again, if allowed by pandemic circumstances. So there may be phases where it's becoming less again, but that's where we have our digital routes to market to still stay connected online or via webinars and so forth. So I think we now have a good mix to cope with whatever situation may come, but it was good to see the traffic of prospects and customers last week. And it was also amazing to see the sparkle in the eyes of the people, internal Stratasys people when they met again. Yeah. And when they had a beer at the bar, all Corona compliant, but still they met, they had a chat, they spoke about family, not only online about the business. And that's just so super important for the team spirit. And you could feel it at the booth, everyone's super engaged. And with the portfolio that we have in the back now, the 5 technologies, solutions that are addressing each and every single step across the product development lifecycle, we can be proud, and we have shown that pride with excitement and, as I said, the sparkle in the eyes.
Yeah, I think for me personally, as a business, we have done well through COVID, and I don't like saying that at times, but you realize what you can do digitally. You realize how efficient you can be working from home, and you have to work on very different strategies to keep the team motivated and aligned and feeling part of the family. But I myself, I've started to crave being back in the office. I'm in the office today, and for me, I'm looking forward to planning visits to the States in Q1 and back to Germany and different things. So for me, I had some new people starting last week, and I didn't feel fair to go on a trip to Germany to meet, but I will definitely be at the next one, that's for sure. I felt like I missed out last week.
Yeah.
So, as part of this podcast, we've had a lot of guests from SaaS, from software, high growth companies, startups, with focuses on, hiring, focuses on, learning management, focuses on culture, diversity. And really this is the first we're focused on, I guess, the manufacturing industry. Now, I myself have been really keen and really the whole 5 years I've been at Solution Driven, 3D printing is always something that's caught my eye. It's something to me that is, it's manufacturing, but it's technology, right? It's science. It kind of brings everything into one. You've had a very interesting career and journey, with Stratasys, Maker bought back to Stratasys, and now, as the president of Stratasys, an amazing role, right? And it would be good to just understand that journey, and even if you wouldn't mind quickly giving us a couple of minutes on what the last 10 years has been like for you.
A very exciting ride. So I tell you a secret. When I took the first job at back then Objet, before the merger with Stratasys, I was starting as a sales assistant. And before that, I went to university. I've been working in the US for a startup. And I still remember because the salary was not so great when I started. And I still remember
little bit better now, right? Just a little better now.
Yeah, it improved a little bit though. But my mother said back then, now you went to university and gained some experience in work life, and now you're taking this job. What the heck? So she was a bit worried, and I said, Mom, don't worry, it will be fine. Now, 12 years later or 13 years later, I can say, yes, it is fine. But it's been exactly the experience that I was after. It was clear to me that I want to lead people, that I want to run a business, but without all of the steps through the basic sales support tasks. There was a time where we didn't have anyone doing order fulfillment, like entering orders into our ERP system. So I flew to Israel, I learned it from the team there, I went back and I plugged in orders into the system. I had the connection with the customers, with the reseller partners from that perspective. Then I went into other tasks and took my managerial roles and people leadership roles in smaller scale than in bigger scale. Then I had a challenging time at MakerBot where we were facing a difficult time in the market in terms of expectations versus reality. You remember the hype where Obama spoke about 3D printing and everyone believed that next year every person on earth will have a 3D printer at home. Didn't happen. And then I had to restructure and reorganize a little bit. So also tough jobs where you maybe have to downsize certain teams. But all of these experiences are giving me now at least the comfort that I can deal with the complexity of the business. I can deal with the challenges that are ahead. Not only selling, prototyping, and talking about manufacturing, but finally selling into manufacturing. So that's basically challenges that we have right now. And all of the steps I took in my career so far have helped me to be prepared. And I always told myself for each career step, because I believe there is a natural limit for every person. And every time you get a promotion, you need to ask yourself, is this still under control or am I above my natural limit? Because if you're above the natural limit, you would be a poor boss leader in whatever function. So I'm very sensitive to the feedback I'm getting from the people because they are the first to somehow let me feel that, okay, Andy, that's now a step too big. But so far, I think it's under control.
It's interesting, right? I mean, and I've talked about this to lots of sales or go-to-market leaders, CROs in the past, where that in most cases, especially SaaS companies, it's SDR, it's AE, it's sales director, it's VP of sales, and it's a very straight line. And I think COVID's made people really. Am I making an impact in what I'm doing here? Is there something else that I'm more passionate about? Where am I most suited? And I think people are evaluating themselves more than they ever have, evaluating their employers and colleagues more so. How do you know then? I mean, I guess I really like the way you said that, the natural limit. And I think people under you you'll quickly know if you're not delivering for them. So how have you always managed to make sure you deliver for the people under you?
First of all, you have to really embrace that as one of your main tasks when leading people. You are working for the people, not the other way around. Because the best salesperson I have in the team is selling machines. It's not me. Although in my career I may have been selling machines, I would now still say that this person is better than I've ever been. Yeah. So I think understanding that working for the people is part of the job, a big part of the job. and having this emotional connection to the team. If you're not emotionally connected and you can tell by the look on someone's face that something is not sitting right, or on the other hand, the person is happy and ready to perform, that's the secret. Because if a person is happy and you have bigger belief in that person, you can also be a bit nasty and be challenging and say, you know, this is not enough, you can do much more. But if you see that the person has some sort of a barrier to perform, I need to remove that barrier first of all, and then I can judge.
Yeah.
But I think that's the whole secret, embracing it as part of the job, to work for the people, and having this emotional connectivity to the people and listening to their feedback. I still love the fact that when, and you know the business, when people from my team are being contacted by headhunters, by competitors, they are coming to me and telling me, and they're asking me what I think. And I'm taking myself out of my current job, and I said, okay, let's review it. I mean, as your boss, I'm saying, no way, you're not leaving.
You're going nowhere.
But the fact that you are considering means that something is not right now. And let's analyze that. And maybe the conclusion is that, yeah, maybe you should leave and take the next step somewhere else. I'm open to those discussions, because I'm not mixing it with rather the opposite. I think it's a sign of loyalty when you talk to the people first, or to the employer first, before you put them in front of made decisions.
You know, a lot, especially in the sales side, you know, I heard a stat a few weeks ago that 30% of the global workforce has moved job in the last 18 months. And I know that, you know, we are having to work that little bit harder to entice top talent from one company to another. Some have that loyalty to the employer because they've been through the pandemic together. Others see that the grass is greener and are looking to capitalize, right? You know, I've always felt that having that open and honest relationship with your team, you know, if they're doing a good job and we're doing a good job, people are going to come for them. And I guess there's only so much you can do to make them want to stay as well, right? I think it's got to be both sides. In terms of Stratasys, you know, I won't say who, but I've done a little bit of homework and asked some people opinion of yourself, and get the same answer quite a lot. You know, very charismatic, you know, very well networked, gets on with everyone. You know, when he leaves a room, everyone's laughing and joking, and, you know, clearly the culture that you're trying to build within the different teams and the dynamic, you know, is super important to you. Have you found that difficult during the pandemic, where people are a bit more remote?
It's been difficult, but it's you know, you need to find new ways of achieving the same goal, because you know, if it's the personal hug that is making people feel comfortable, then of course that's not possible. But emotional connection can happen also remotely. So I think it's finding new ways, and it is hard work. I mean, when you have 100 and close to 160 people, when you have the transformation of the company, you're adding new technologies, you're focusing on polymer, you have a lot of demand to catch. It's hard work to take the time and have the 5-minute conversation with randomly employees across the organization. Mm-hmm. But since the pandemic, where there was less face-to-face interaction, that had to get some additional weight. And you have to remind yourself that this is the culture you want to live, so you need to do that effort. And it's not that I'm negatively forcing myself, I enjoy it. But if a person closes a deal, why not picking up the phone and saying, hey, great, well done, and having a chat about whatever. So I think it's all about this being connected, being approachable. And as I always say, the biggest treats for me in my team are respect and transparency. So transparency, first of all, respect. When you're respectful, it means a lot, and you can respect any function within the organization, because everyone is contributing, everyone is working hard, no matter what the deliverable is in the end. And if you mix that with the transparency, then you can say whatever it is. You can criticize, you can punish, you can do whatever you want, but you're transparent. You're telling, okay, why do I feel happy or not happy about your performance? And if you do it in a respectful way, honoring the individual that you're talking to and the individual problems, the individual ambitions, or the individual environment, then you know, nothing can actually go wrong, and that's something you can do face to face or online.
See, I totally agree. Love both of those values. I think I've grown up with, you know, obviously in a pro sport environment, it's always been quite transparent. If you're not doing a good job, you get told very quickly, or you're sitting watching. But for me, I've found in sport, as I've got older, and even in business, that transparency sometimes is tough for people to accept, and it's almost tougher to accept being remote. It's, you know, it's quite easy to hide behind a laptop and how are you feeling? Fine, yep, okay, and move on to the next one. Or you miss a target and you can go a little bit silent. If you're in a room full of people, it's tougher to hide. So I've definitely heard a lot of leaders say it's been hard to be transparent and as challenging. So it's interesting to hear that that's almost stepped up a notch for you. But who wouldn't want the phone picked up to them, right?
I think it's not related to COVID or not. It's I think transparency has an issue of scale, because when you have to be transparent about more and more topics to more and more people, you simply fail to accomplish. And then the lack of being transparent about a specific topic may be perceived as, you know, you're hiding or something. So there is a risk to it.
Yep.
But the people that know me who know me, they understand I'm not consciously hiding anything. I mean, of course, when I'm doing my plans for next year, not everyone is aware of everything. But when people approach me and want to know something, they get an honest and transparent reply, even if I may not disclose details. So
I like it. So you're talking about the plan for next year, and you know, from everyone I know at Stratasys, there are always big plans for that year and next year. You know, what do you see as the biggest challenges in the market next year and the biggest opportunities?
That's a good question. The biggest, I mean, that there is some uncertainty. You don't know how COVID will evolve, how quickly e-mobility will kick in terms of product development life cycle, which is creating business in additive on the prototyping side at least. So there is some uncertainties, and the challenge is to plan in a way that we are prepared for the growth opportunity that we can capture. Mm-hmm. But not risking that we're now over-investing into people, into everything, and then we may fail to deliver due to macroeconomics. Because I'm fully convinced that if the market plays out well with the additional technologies and products that we have in our offering, with the roadmap that we have, with the go-to-market enablement that we are driving together with the resellers that we have, there is no doubt that there is huge growth opportunity, and the growth opportunity is across all of the segments we serve. There is still opportunity to grow in prototyping, classical design or functional prototyping. There is growth opportunity in production enhancement solutions like tooling, jigs, and fixtures. And there is definitely growth in additive manufacturing of products. So if you think about supply chain disruption, that for me is one of the biggest business drivers in the near future. We have Siemens Mobility as a customer, for example, who went from holding inventory to producing spare parts for trams and trains on demand. And that's just a testimonial that there is also many, many more companies considering it, because it's also touching on sustainability. If you don't ship spare parts across the globe with trucks and ships and airplanes, it's positive carbon footprint, and then producing on demand, that is something that is being considered by many companies.
Yeah, I mean, we just had COP26 in my home city, you know, of Glasgow, and clearly that is a huge thing for everyone. I think as well, top talent are now looking for companies that not only have good values, but are thinking that way as well. In terms of keeping, I guess I'm starting to get a sense, you know, of how you retain top talent. You know, what are, I guess, one or two of your main goals, or how do I best put this? What are one or two of your main focuses to hire top talent? Like, what are the one or two things that really make top talent stand out to you and convince that you're hiring someone good?
It's eventually it's simple. It needs to be a cultural fit and hungry to create an impact. That's the whole secret. So if you want to call it like that, I'm praying every day that we have an intact culture in the organization, that on the one hand, people feel happy, but they also are humble and appreciate what they have, because that's also nowadays not quite common. We are in a complaining culture somehow. And so point. People that are humble, that appreciate, that they can also be demanding and saying, I need this and this to do a better job, but I want to feel this appetite, this hunger to create an impact. So if you have hungry people in the additive manufacturing industry, based on the function, you know, technical background is also very important, so you understand what you are selling, because the classical car salesman profile is not working anymore in additive. It used to work 7 years back, but not today anymore. So I need, if we're talking sales, technical savvy people that can do everything by themselves, print the benchmark, talk about the solution, talk about the ROI and the value prop for the customer, and sell the machine with good commercial negotiation skills. But for all of the people that I have in my team across all of the functions, it needs to be the cultural fit, where I'm also after this certain positivity, you know, being able to influence people around you in a positive way, rather than being the complaining duck who's dragging everyone down. That's what I hate the most. So if I could, I would delete the ability to be a complaining duck.
And again, you know, obviously I'm coming from a sales side mostly here as well, but it's not something people do say often, and I think probably think it. You know, I think there's humble is a good one, but appreciative is not something I hear a lot. You know, I think people are always, I'm looking for someone to be curious, and I want somebody to ask tons of questions. You know, appreciating what you have and have been a positive influence. I like that a lot. So again, I hear a lot about how you motivate the team to go and do a good job. Obviously, hiring well plays a part in that, and rewarding people, compensation plays a big part of that. But do you have any tricks on how to motivate the team to go and stretch themselves?
It's going back to the same treats. It's the emotional connectivity. When you feel being part of a team, you are motivated to deliver for the team. And it's, you know, what I learned, because I'm by DNA, I'm more a nice person rather than a challenging person. So I had to learn, and still have to learn, to be more and more challenging with the people. And I made my progress, don't worry, but it could still be improved. But if you are a person and you want to grow in your career, you also need someone who's challenging you and developing you. And it doesn't need to have the fancy development programs and a whole bunch of fuzz and self-assessments around it. It's more about how do you debrief and do a lessons learned with the people. And it's not necessarily that I know the answer and I can tell them how to do a better job next time, but the conversation around it is creating this culture that, yes, it was a great deal, but next time we could make it bigger. Or now we lost an opportunity, next time we're not going to lose it again. And if you create this like as a dual or mutual experience, let's debrief, let's do lesson learned, and we both learn here. It's not that anyone knows better than the other. I think that's also creating this this feeling of less pressure, that it's not someone finger pointing, but it's really the culture of continuous improvement. And that's important, and that's why you need to challenge people to debrief. not challenge in a way that what you did here and there that sucks and never do it again, or I punish you. But it's challenge, we're not there yet. It was good, but we could do better. It was not good, and we need to fix it.
And I think that's, you could look at the whole 3D printing additive manufacturing industry, right, and say continuous improvement is what it's all about. It's pretty much how you've ended up here. I think for us, we work in an industry that's very challenging, lots of competitors, and you need to be on your A game and deliver time and time again. Unfortunately, our team do that, but we're even in times of success, it's evaluating, well, why did I have success there? Where are the points that it could have went wrong, and how do we, for example, get to learn Andy more and what Andy's looking for in the Stratasys team and to make a better hire next time. And it certainly sounds like that you're doing that at Stratasys. So a couple of quick fire questions to finish. What is the biggest success of your career so far?
Biggest success of my career, I would say there is 2 outstanding sales deals. Both I cannot disclose the logos, but both above $1 million in size, and that's not so common in the additive manufacturing industry when you look at our ASPs. So if one machine is 2 million, then it wouldn't be such a big deal. But
yeah,
it was multiple units directly involved in those, driving towards closure, applying some nice tricks, how to put it as a fact. As an example, when the customer is not yet decided whether to order or not, you invite them, you make a handshake picture, and all of a sudden decision is made. So stuff like this, that was pretty cool. But there's also the little ones. And I'm proud actually that I still hired more people in my career than I fired.
Good one.
And that's actually, I cannot tell you how many people I hired, but I can tell you exactly how many I fired, or fire is the wrong word, how many I had to let go for various reasons. And that's a painful number that I always want to have in my mind. And I always want to, it's not a success, but what I see as a success in terms of my leadership execution is that when we let go people, I want to be personally involved and offer my face to the person to yell at. Because as the person who's leaving, you need to have a ventil to get rid of your emotions.
Yeah.
And if you do it like a paperwork and like a numbers game where someone is entering the room and just handing a paper, I don't think it's fair. So that's why I have this number in mind. I'm not saying that it's a success, but I celebrate the fact that I'm still sticking to this rule because it's crucial for culture.
Awesome. And as someone that hopes to work with you a lot on the recruiting side, that really protects your 12-month guarantee as well, knowing that you don't fire very often. So that's good to know. Is there any one moment in your career that stands out as the biggest lesson you've learned?
The biggest lesson I've learned.
So it could have been a moment of something didn't go well.
You make me feel like I'm in a job interview, because that's the classical questions, right? So I've learned from my MakerBot experience, when you enter a responsibility as a general manager, you need to do a lot of compliance checks. And I haven't done all of them, which created some surprises. So there was no big drama in terms of legal liabilities, but there was some financial impact that I was not aware of. And so I'm now better in doing my homework before I take over any business.
And then last one would be, what's an interesting fact that people wouldn't necessarily know about Andy Langfeld?
I think I'm too boring for any interesting facts, but I'm 40 years old and is it interesting? I'm still playing soccer once in a while. And I hated, you may be able to testify. As a soccer player, you hate to run without a ball. And I found my passion of running beginning of COVID, actually. because I'm not forcing myself anymore or pressuring myself. So I'm just running for, you know, being outside and completely detaching my brain from work. But it's usually the time where I think most about work, because all of a sudden it's there. But I found passion in doing such a boring thing like running, and now I do it 3 to 4 times a week.
So I think, and I think that's really important, right? Because for me, last year, I'll be very honest, you know, I probably worked too much, and similar again this year. You know, I said to myself, I'll take some time off for a summer vacation. It didn't happen due to COVID, and I'll do it later in the year, and you don't get to it, and then you hire, and there's always something else you can pour yourself into. And, you know, for me, sport or soccer is that one fix where you can completely switch off. You know, I do a little running myself, and like you, that's typically the time you're putting your go-to-market strategy in place for next year. So, so if anyone sees Andy running, don't stop him. He's in the middle of planning his next £1 million deal.
Exactly.
Andy, you've been a great guest. Thank you for answering some of these questions, and I look forward to sharing this with our network very, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.